What's going on, everybody? For those who are new, welcome. For those who aren't, welcome back to another episode of Z Suite, the podcast where we have everyday conversations with your everyday Gen Z kids. I'm Wilmer.
I'm Bronwyn.
And I'm Cameron.
And today we have a guest simply because our good man's Darren 4x is kind of acting a little slow in timing. So we have my wonderful, beautiful, smart girlfriend here. I would call her my lady friend, but she doesn't like that. So, madam.
Hi, I'm Audrey. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. So we're here. Let's do our usual check-in with everybody. How's everyone doing?
How about Audrey goes first?
I'm good. Okay. I mean, nothing really new. That's about it. What about you guys?
I'm good. We had a lot of warm weather down here because, I don't know. I know it was warmer up there too, but it was really warm here. So I was like out. It looked like normal college. People were out throwing frisbees, playing lacrosse. I was like, oh my gosh. Actually, and both of you play lacrosse, so this is funny. My friends were like, what are they playing? I'm like, it's lacrosse. Those are lacrosse sticks. And they're like, what? Because it's not a big deal down there. Like football and basketball, that's what's big in the South, and mostly football. Right. But like lacrosse in Maryland is huge, so I think it was funny for them to see it. I don't think they'd ever really known what it was. So yeah, it was funny.
Oh, that's interesting. I remember going down to like even to Philly, or well, that's not down, but like yeah, that's up. But like even then, it was only really big in very certain areas. But if you go outside of that certain area, like we had a tournaments in, like no one knew what it was.
That's and it's a pretty big like upper East Coast game.
Right.
It's not West Coast. Cameron, how are you?
Honestly, man, school's rough, but we getting through it. These hotter days have been great, but this rain, I'm not feeling it right now.
Yeah, it kind of slowed down a little bit, but yeah. See, I've been big chilling. I've been home doing my thing. I'm on spring break now, so that's pretty cool.
Break?
Yeah, we're done. We have March and then April, and then we're done.
Oh, wow.
Me too.
Yeah, so. Madam, would you like to introduce yourself and tell the people who you are, what you do, and, blah, blah, blah?
I'm not that interesting, but I mean, I don't know. I'm a student at Towson University, so not too far from home anyway, but I'm online too. That's all right. It's not the best for anyone, I think, but we're making the best of it. Otherwise, I mean, I'm working at the moment.
Where do you work?
I work at Chick-fil-A at the moment.
Okay.
So
I feel like
got the hookups.
That makes me happy.
That's been pretty good. It keeps me busy, gets me out of the house.
What's your major?
Family and Human Services with the track and child life.
I could never remember that, so I asked the question.
I mean, it basically is just me trying to somewhat get into somewhat social work, but work with children and families and hopefully a hospital setting. I don't know if that really helps people understand or not, but
So then how is that during like all of this, especially not being able to like go and connect and practice connections with like children and such?
it's somewhat challenging. I'm fortunately not at a point where all of my classes consist of that in-person field work. But I was in a class where that was part of it. And of course, the long story short, I had to drop it. But a lot of it was through the school. They had already given us options and told us, this is what's virtual at the moment, and really cleared that up for people so that they weren't struggling on their own, going in completely blind.
That's great.
Yeah.
So then, sorry, I have a lot of questions, but just like could I ask, as someone who's already had a year to develop like a system for themselves in college, or is still developing that system, how did that change with like the pandemic and like all that?
I mean, the big change for me, I guess, would be more so the professor, because a lot of the time my professors haven't been the best with technology, and I don't think anybody was really prepared for it. But that was like the biggest thing from in person, was the amount of screen time I was actually stuck having to use.
Right.
Rather than those in-person conversations. And I've noticed through other things I've had to do for the school, there were a lot of things where they wanted you to talk about relationships with different people from campus. And it was like I had just enough time to make those relationships, but I've noticed that was a challenge too.
Didn't you have to do a assignment where you had to go on different dating apps?
Oh my.
And figure that out?
Yeah, that was really weird. Like a week or two ago, I had to do that assignment, and it was just about online dating, but it was asking a bunch of questions from those different websites we looked into, and that was really weird because I'm not using any online dating. Never really did beforehand, so that was really strange to me, having to like fake create accounts just to get the questions answered that I needed, but that was weird. I'm not that big to online.
What were the questions, if I could ask?
Well, it was just like general questions for the assignment, but more specific to each website. So it was like, what are they asking? And you had to go through a whole list, and some of them had like 30 questions.
Oh, right. Oh.
And on top of that, they wanted you to not just give your own answer, but like what answer you were looking for from the other person.
So like an algorithm, like it uses to match you with people.
Yeah, it was really strange for me to experience.
Like, was the goal to match with people?
No.
Oh, okay.
It was just to explain how it was basically like a theories assignment.
Okay.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So just, I mean, if there was a John out there that, swiped on your fake profile, congratulations, John. You would have been lucky.
Thanks.
All right. Okay. Cool. Once again, thanks for coming. I'm not kicking you out, but, thanks for coming. This is
nice to have
cool.
another girl in here.
Yeah, that's what I say, Brian. This is a good, I would want to say change, but nice addition for.
There's no one going after Cam today.
There is no one going after.
Oh my gosh, such a nice change of pace.
That void. That's kind of half of the show. It's Darren yelling at somebody.
Darren.
Don't say me. My gosh, goodness.
Jeez, I don't even know where he is. Like, there's just no sort of like communication for it about it or what's going on. So,
I mean, he handling his biz. It's straight. I mean, he'll sort it out. He'll learn to sort it out at least.
He said he's working like on a group project, right?
Yeah.
How do you all feel about group projects?
During a pandemic or just in general?
Just in general, but I mean, you can talk about that.
Pandemic is interesting.
Well, personally, I mean, I play my role. I do what I have to do. I'm not one to slack off, but I will admit that if the opportunity was there to where I didn't have to do as much work, I definitely would have picked that option. But I think group projects are they're cool.
Yeah. I feel like we talked about this before a little bit, but I know I'm definitely one that doesn't necessarily like them, especially in high school and classes where people like aren't really that interested, because then I end up doing all the work, because even if I'm not interested, I still am needing to get the work done. So I think Cameron's the same way. That I don't know, you can answer that, but not my favorite.
Yeah, no, like before the pandemic, it was just like, I mean, I've had a lot of groups that were great, especially with my friends, but there were just some classes that people in there just like really just were not interested in the project, and I had to get a good grade still, and so I had to, pull that extra weight. But with the pandemic, man, I've just found that there are so many more people who just aren't interested, like, in communicating with you, or
Especially when
in
they're not
just
in person and like you can
right.
actually like they can just have their camera off and you don't ever talk to them. I saw
Exactly.
a TikTok that was like, this guy was like, I hate group projects. The people never do anything. He said, I'm literally unmuted right now in front of my group and they're not saying anything.
Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, this isn't really like a group project, but you know how in high school we had like peer editing? So in my English class, like we still have that. And so there are some cases, like I'm all for peer editing, but there are some cases where, as you guys said, there's just no communication. So then you're just sitting in the room with silence. And then the teacher comes in and she's like, how's everyone doing? You know, what's going on? And then she's the only one bringing the energy. And then
Yeah.
no one else. You're thinking someone else is going to respond. So you're quiet. And doing it virtually is pretty weird. But I know you have had a lot of, I guess, communications within groups. Not really group projects, but like breakout rooms and stuff. So if you want to speak on your experiences.
The breakout room aspect of it is like just what everyone I think has experienced. Once in a while you'll get the few that will start talking, but then most of the time it's everyone is muted, camera off. You have nothing to do until the professor pops in and you're like, oh, okay, let's come up with something real quick. But within the actual like group project aspect of it, I have had a lot of problems with that, especially being online. Because everyone, especially at the start of the pandemic, had to change whatever they were doing, move, do whatever, had their own personal things to handle. And in this situation, it was this girl, and like we had a day to do the project, and they finally communicated last second that they weren't going to have it done until later. And we were like, okay, but that's not like, it's a group effort. Everyone's going to get the grade for it. Nobody else cared in the group. So it was me trying to communicate with our professor.
Man.
It was like, it was a valid reason for this person. It was personal family stuff. But yeah, just definitely added to the stress of it and was not a fan.
Yeah, it's hard to like wait on someone to do something because if you're all getting the same grade, like that's stressful. I'm not a last minute person, so I don't know about anyone else, but I like to do things early so that if I don't know, something happens later and I just can't do it later, it's fine. It's already done, but I can't wait on someone to do things because
that just gets me anxious. But that kind of goes into a topic that was brought up from Jermaine Silvera, who asked, he says, how do you make a good what's a good conversation? Like how do you know how to talk to people?
Like that's
I actually think that's a pretty interesting idea. I never really thought of it because clearly we're all here talking to people. So hold on, I gotta go turn off the phone. Talk to the people.
Okay. Well, on that note, I think that's personally for me, that's something that I feel like that not a lot of people think about, but it is something that there are theories on. Like I've definitely seen things on YouTube to where it's like how to make good conversation and how to have humor and stuff like that. But I think that I found that humor is definitely a good conversation piece. Even about yourself or what you're talking about or anything.
Yeah, no, you're right. Sorry, no, I was not reacting to what you were saying, Cameron. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
Because I feel like some people do have issues with conversation. Obviously, none of us really do. Sometimes it depends on like the person. You just don't know what to say. I don't know. It can't be forced though. I think if you're trying to keep a conversation going, it just is like you're being too much annoying. I hate to say that, but it's annoying.
I think. It's as you said, it's different person to person. So for me, I can hold a conversation with somebody, and the thing is, you just got to keep it interesting, because the average human being, their thought concentration or whatever you want to call it is like 8 seconds before they start to drift off and think of something else. Yeah, you like the little motion right there.
Yeah.
That's like movie shots. Like now we can't have an 8-second from the same like camera. It has to
exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for me, I mean, as I said, I've always been a conversation starter. I've always been able to talk to people. But what is a good conversation? I don't know.
Like an example of one?
I feel like example,
but just I guess like the criteria, the criteria of a good conversation. I guess if two people are really just talking.
Well, I mean, I feel like that like a big like centerpiece of good conversation is commonality, whether that comes in the form of humor, the same humor, or the same experiences, or the same, like if we talk and we have nothing to share, you have like nothing in common, like why are we talking? There's no reason for us to talk. But if we talk and like, oh, we played the same sport, or we have the same football team, or we have the same sense of humor, but we come from completely different backgrounds, like that draws conversation.
And I think you're right, and I think the two people have to want to be talking to each other. Like it can't be one person is wanting to talk to someone and one person, but like it's just like, I mean, sometimes. Well, I'm going to use Wilmer as an example because I'm really weird with texting. He'll always text me, and I'll just like not respond because one, most of the time I don't see it, but two, I'm just like, I have no energy to text anyone or talk to anyone right now, and it's never like a personal thing. So I do always want to be talking to Wilmer. It's just like sometimes I just have no energy to do so. So I think those people need to have the energy to do so, to have like a good conversation.
Texting's an interesting thing. Would you guys rather text or FaceTime? I rather FaceTime. Yeah.
If I want to be talking to a person, then I'd rather FaceTime.
Yeah. I mean, I FaceTime Wilmer like just out the cut, like just like yeah.
I remember when the whole you had to schedule when people were like, "Oh, you got to schedule a FaceTime with me." Like, why do I have to schedule to talk to a friend? Like that's
right. If you're my friend, like I kind of just hit you up, like whatever.
Yeah, but no, I mean, texting for people. For me, I understand that people are busy, so I mean, I'm not going to be mad if you don't respond to me, 2 days later, because sometimes I'll open the text, I'll look at it, and then I'll get distracted and do something else, and then now the notification's gone, so I forget that I even
that texts me all the time.
So, but yeah, I mean, for some people do get in their feelings, but they're like, oh, they don't text me back like 3-4 hours later, but you got to realize there are other things going on in that person's life too. So
especially now, like even though we're all home and like we're not out as much or as physically preoccupied, like there are still like like for me at least, I do work all day, like every day. That's why I'm not on social media like that.
And so, that sucks. That sounds like it's not fun at all.
I mean, it's not. Like, I mean, it is, but like it's not. I mean, I'm doing the stuff that I like like my majors and in my classes are things that I enjoy, but it's just the sheer amount of work is not a fun thing.
Do you think it would be better if you were at school?
100%, because I've learned that it's hard for professors to gauge like student workload, like, and it's harder to navigate that workload when you have no outlet, or you don't have as strong of an outlet, and so it's rough. But I think if I was at school or in person, I'd be able to manage my time with taking care of myself better.
Some teachers definitely, or teachers/professors, depending on what level you're at, they definitely understand that we're in a pandemic, and they've definitely changed the way that they've structured the class so that they understand, hey, I don't want you looking at a screen for X amount of hours. But then there are some teachers/professors that are still in that in-person mode. So all they're doing is just giving out the work that they would be giving out.
Exactly. Just
and I mean, realistically, I mean, I guess it's all the same, but there's just still something about being virtual versus being in person that still isn't the same. Like, if that makes sense. I mean, clearly we're virtual and not in person. I mean, that's the biggest difference. But I just feel like that there's something else that I can't really put my mind to.
Personally, I mean, like, I've noticed that my professors this semester have gotten really lenient with how much they're really paying attention to students struggling still. So, like, by that, I mean, they're giving more work as if we were in person. And that's just something I've noticed for all of my classes. And I don't think it's so much the professor, but the fact that they've been able to manage it up until now, and think people have figured out how to keep on working as if they were in person.
Right.
And on top of that, like the thing you said with stress, Cameron, was like managing your time and all. For me, I spent 5 hours just trying to submit an exam. Like, it was ridiculous just because of technology.
That's
like
crazy.
The exam took me 20 minutes because it was part of it. And the professor just wanted it one specific way. So, like, there goes half of my time where I could get ahead on other work or, like, just relax. And I had to focus on getting it to the professor the right way.
5 hours to turn this. 5 hours. 5 minutes is long. 5 hours to turn in one thing. That is. Yeah. That's something within itself.
Yeah, my German teacher, we had like an essay. I mean, I'm in German 1, so it wasn't really that big of an essay.
Right,
you have to write it in German?
Yeah. But it was just like, hi, my name is Bronwyn. I am from Maryland. It was really easy stuff that we learned. But
okay,
she wanted
I'll say it in German.
Oh God, no. But we had to, she said, only submit it as a Word document that I can write on through Canvas. I was like sitting there for 20 minutes trying to figure out how to submit a Word document so that she could write on it. I was like, I don't know how to do this. Sorry, what, Wilmer?
No, I was just saying that. I'm just trying to figure that out in my head.
And so I FaceTimed my sister, Ella, who knows more about this than me. And I was like, how do I submit a Word document? Like, so she can write on it through Canvas, but not a PDF, because she said no PDFs. I was like, okay.
Wow.
I ended up just submitting a Google Doc because that's something but she's like, you can't do that. So I, like Audrey said, I spent more time submitting it than I was actually doing the assignment. So
you said you work in fast food. Mm-hmm. And I don't really consider Chick-fil-A fast food.
Quick service.
There you go. What you were telling me yesterday, I think, about customers and how customers can treat employees, and then how, like, behind the scenes sort of stuff. I feel as though that as a customer, it's our job to make the server's life easier. No matter like whether you're in a restaurant or fast food. But if you want to tap in and talk about some of your food service experience.
I mean, a lot of this is just like common stuff you would see, though. I mean, I appreciate it when I have someone that's really going to be understanding and not give me a hard time. But of course, you have people that just don't realize, and they're like, oh no, I need this, and they'll send you back and forth, and you're like, just tell me what you need, I'll go get it, like, just move on with my day. But of course, I don't think a lot of the time it's intentional. Like, they're not doing it in spite of you or to make your life harder. They just don't realize that it's like those little things that eventually add up. But of course, all that being said, you will have people come by and they're like, they'll just give you a hard time for nothing, and you're like, I don't know how else to help you. I apologize. Like, just have to kind of get to that point where, all right, let me just get a manager, because they're not going to understand my explanation or me trying to help them.
Don't be mean, people.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes it's just, let's be decent in general. Like, obviously to people that are in the service industry, like, yes, but in general, like, that's just something that should be done all the time. And this is something, sometimes I'll go to Smoothie King in Plaza. Oh God, if you guys know where that is. You're not close to, never mind.
Wait, are you saying in Greensboro, or are you saying
no.
in
Maryland? And the workers will be mad at me for some reason, or they'll just give me an attitude for ordering. And I make a point to be nice to employees because I know that they deal with, like Audrey was saying, just people that feel the need to be mean for some reason. But then they'll be mean to me. Like, what? I didn't do anything. Why are you mad at me? So I feel like it's a two-way thing, just being decent in like conversation. I don't understand the reason why you wouldn't be.
No, I understand that because, like, when I have one customer just being difficult, like, I'm getting frustrated. Of course, I still check myself and I'm like, okay, no, be patient. But then it's kind of like, all right, move on to the next person and start fresh because who am I to bring that negativity and treat them terribly? Like, there's no reason for that. They haven't done anything. They've been waiting patiently while you've taken like 10 minutes with one person who's being difficult. So.
And then the people behind them will get irritated because it's taking so long, and then it just becomes a chain of events. Yeah.
But I don't know. Personally, I would never get irritated at the workers if someone was being annoying. Like if someone in front of me in line was being difficult, and you can always tell those people that are being difficult. I make a point to be nice to the worker there that's like had just dealt with that, because I know I couldn't deal with that. I would start shaking. I just can't deal with conflict. So I'm sure I don't know. I just feel like that's a nice thing to do. Be nice.
Yeah, to people. Definitely. I've had that happen before where like I've just been outside having to take orders and the first person to come through is just like super sweet, but just so many difficulties. And then I finally get to this car, a few cars back, like take care of the person. And without saying anything, like we've been totally fine this whole interaction, say, oh, I want to talk to a manager. Like, okay, sure, call out a manager, move on while they're talking. And this next lady's really sweet. She could tell something was up. My manager comes up to me and is like, don't worry about it, blah, blah, blah. And she overheard and was like, oh, yeah, no, you're fine. Don't worry about it. Like, you got it. You're doing a great job. So like, there's comments like that where it's like, thank you for understanding, because sometimes other people aren't as understanding.
Would you say that you guys let your emotions control you, or do you control your emotions?
I think there's a bit of both for me. I'm not someone that acts from like the heart, which sounds bad. No, like I obviously consider my emotions, but I'm not going to get really angry and then do something about it. I let myself cool off a little bit. I think I have emotions, so I don't control my emotions, but I don't act on them as quickly as some other people might.
Cameron, you can get a little feisty, buddy. I mean, you're a little ball of fire.
I mean,
situation is situation.
Right. Like I feel like at least I'm normally very composed, but and it takes me a good amount. It takes a good stimulus to get me mad. Like because I have a younger brother who has trained me to have tolerance. I have a pretty good amount of tolerance, but once that like threshold is crossed, I don't really have any tolerance. But that only goes for like frustration and like anger. For yeah.
Huh. I've never seen you get mad.
Oh, have you seen Cameron on the lacrosse field? That is where.
Well, I'm pretty composed in the lacrosse. I've gotten like illegal checks and stuff like that, but like not retaliate as much. But unless you like mess with my teammate, that's like something different.
Yeah, I've seen Cameron get pretty heated in some situations. But I mean, but that does go into like sports as a whole, because you're in the moment. I mean, you're really just focused on the game. The adrenaline's pumping, so like it's already at a level of, I guess, not control to an extent. But you know, that's person to person. And I've always wondered what I would do when it comes to sports wise. What would happen if people did something to me? Like if someone tried to fight me, what would I do in that situation? Like part of me says I'd fight them, but the other part of me says I'll genuinely just run away. Like I will not try to go towards the conflict.
Have you ever gotten in a fight, Wilmer? Like a physical fight?
I've never gotten into a fight.
Okay.
So part of me also says I just run away in fights in general. So.
Wilmer, I feel like you would stand up for yourself to a certain extent, and then like once it like got past a certain extent or time limit, you'd be like, all right, I'm out. You got it.
Yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, if you hit me first, I mean, I'll hit you back. But like, I'm never gonna start something. But don't think I'm a pansy, please. Like, I know you're here and you're hearing this, and I don't want you to think that if someone was like, hey, towards you and I had to stand up for you, then of course I wouldn't run away like like a Charlie Brown character. But I'd stand up for myself. But it's, as Cameron said, if it did get to a certain point, I wouldn't. I'd probably. It's situation to situation.
I mean, there's context
it's
too.
Not worth it. Sometimes it's just like.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just mad. I'm not gonna deal with you. So. Yeah.
Having my jaw broke is not worth. It's not worth getting into a fight. So.
No.
But if it's for me at least, like I can take a lot of stuff, but for me personally, like you can say and do a lot of things to me, and I would be like, all right, whatever, man. But if you messed with like someone that I know, like my family or my like friends, then it's a lot different in that situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all right, Cameron. You've never been. We might have tapped in on this. I think maybe last episode or 2 weeks ago. But you've never been in an actual like fight, right?
Well, I've been in points where I could fight, and I've been in like physical altercations, but they haven't developed into fights because I've shut them down quickly, physically.
What's the difference between a physical altercation and a fight?
Like, I've never gotten damaged from like. It wasn't a two-way thing. It was so like someone was trying to come because I'm small and I'm skinny to a lot of people. I'm pretty. I mean, I don't know. It's debatable.
Yeah, you're skinny. You're pretty small.
Right. I'm small. Anyways, so people think that I'm an easy target. So people would just randomly try to come at me for no reason. And so I like. It's not even. I mean, sometimes I'll just be like, all right, whatever. You had your fun. Cool. Whatever. But sometimes if it's past certain like point, then it's like, I have the tools to defend myself, so I'm going to use them to not get hurt in this instance.
So you just hit them in their pressure point and their legs went numb. That's what happened.
I mean, not even, man. It's just like, for example, I had, you remember when I did wrestling?
Yeah, I do.
And this had like, these are not the skills that I learned from wrestling. This is from my dad. But I was in basketball class, and a kid, someone who I will not name, but who's like chill, was like, "Oh, you do wrestling, Cam?" And I was like, "Yeah," like just playing around. And I was just shooting, and he came behind me, and he like tried to like choke me. Like he grabbed me like this and went like this, and like tried to like choke me out, right? And I was holding him. I was like, "Dude, get off me!" And he was like, "Get out of it, Cam. Get out of it, Cam. You're a wrestler, right?" And I was like, "Dude,
you don't want to do
get
this.
off of me. Like just leave me alone, dude." Like, and he was like, nah. And I was like, all right. So I picked my legs up. I this is something my dad taught me. Disclaimer, my dad doesn't like teaching me to beat up kids, just how to defend myself.
We don't condone this kind of behavior recreationally.
Right, like I don't go out and like looking for fights. Anyways, I picked my legs up, like, and I'm pretty light. And the guy was pretty big, so he was able to carry me for a good minute. So I'm there, like half folded, and then I slammed them down behind me. And I've done this before. It's not the first time something like this happened. I slammed them behind me, and I bent forward, and he went flying over me. Like he went like way off me that way, and he fell, and he was like, "All right, Cam, you
got it.
You got it.
You got it."
And that was the end of that.
Yeah, I can't do that. So don't look out for anything like that, because I ain't got it. That's something different. That's something different. I can only imagine that in my that's some Rush Hour 2 sort of Chris Tucker sort of move right there.
It's like a movie. Like it sounds like one of the, I don't know, just kind of funny.
That is big crazy.
Now, Audrey, I feel like that you're the kind of person to be like similar. Like I feel like you would, like, kind of, to me at least, you'd be like, you tolerate for a little bit, and after a certain point you'd be like, all right, like square up.
I mean, I wouldn't say no, but I wouldn't say yes. I'm not one to make anything really physical, or really encourage it, other than like, well, no, I just wouldn't encourage it.
Right.
Of course, I have my things that I would, of course, stop or like stand up for, whatever. But I don't know that I would really be able to do anything like that. Like, I don't know. I can't think of a time where that's really been something that I've had to do.
You should run your own dojo, Cam. You should.
Me.
Yeah, you should just
Cam's
start taking people's money and trying to teach them how to defend.
I thought they'd look at me and be like, all right, I'm out. This guy can't do anything.
Yeah, I don't know until you say, "Hey, want to see a demonstration?" No. Cam was running the dojo out of the back alley of the subway.
Oh my.
I mean, Cam did mention like having siblings and that sort of thing, and of course, like when I was real little, my sisters and I, like, we did not always get along. So I feel as though on that aspect of it, like, yeah, I've been taught, or like in a way trained, like you said, to be more patient and deal with some stuff. But then there are things where it's like, yeah, you pass the line, like you cross the line.
Right.
No.
Audrey, do you just have sisters?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you guys ever physically fight?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Of course, sometimes, someone would be like, oh, try this, and, like some weird thing that they saw, or like a friend taught them something. So it would be like a fight, but it was never a serious, like, argument that led into a real, like, physical fight sort of thing.
Yeah, I have sisters too, and there would be the occasional shoe throwing at somebody, but like it never got. I know people that have brothers and like boys that like fight like physically all the time, and I just think it's like interesting to see that, because I mean, my sisters and I don't fight again, but I don't know. I couldn't imagine like actually really, really fighting somebody, but I guess brothers do it all the time. Does that happen?
Have you and Nick gotten into any like real physical altercation?
There was one time in I think I was in middle school. He took my phone and he threw it on the ground. He was so mad at me. And I won't really disclose what happened next, but it wasn't like that. Like no one like got hurt. It wasn't like it, and it was resolved quickly. But I was not a happy camper at that moment. But I mean, most of my like physical, like, not altercations but endurance have been through like playing around, because he used to just be really rough when we used to like play fight. We used to wrestle a lot, and he would like knee drop me on my back. So like, you can imagine.
I used to watch every Friday I'd go over to one of my best friends Shane's house, and we'd watch SmackDown on Fridays, and we'd try to reenact and recreate the WWE in his basement and be jumping off the couch. And I remember I was never the most athletic human being at that time. And so Shane was also a wrestler a long time ago in a land far, far away. And he'd put me in this chokehold, like what the kid did to you, and I just had to tap out because I was such a pansy. I couldn't do anything about it.
It's a chokehold.
Yeah, it's a chokehold, Cameron. I was like 8. I had no defense.
How were you supposed to know how to do that? You're calling yourself a pansy. You were 8 years old.
Well, there's some heroes that can hold their own. I mean, Cameron knew pressure points out the womb.
But I think I was around that age when I won my first thing. Sorry.
See, exactly.
So Ron, you were saying that you guys threw shoes. Like, that's something that like I would never do.
That's
like,
just something I remember doing because I did it. I threw shoes at your sister? Shoe at my sister. Not that's like crazy. Well, okay. I don't know how hard it was. Like, it didn't. I don't think she got hurt. She didn't get bruised or anything. I was just mad, so I was like, and I was older than I should have been. But yeah, that was not some.
Are you a shoe thrower?
Not necessarily, although I'm sure I have done similar things with my siblings. Yeah, if you're mad enough, you'll just like, depending on what's nearby, you'll just toss it towards them, and it's not to like intentionally hurt them, but just to
No, I
No,
feel
no,
as though
Yeah,
you
no,
throw
that's
it.
exactly what No, I totally get
it.
that. You're not trying to hurt them. You're just mad and you do something. But
right, and it's kind of like a notification for them to realize, oh, maybe I should stop.
Back up.
That's not how it
I
goes.
don't know. If you throw a shoe, if I throw a shoe, my intent is to hit you
Right.
with the shoe.
It's just like tossing it towards them, though. You're not intentionally like, let me aim for your head.
yeah.
Oh, well, that's
The
where you and I are
sneaker.
two different people. I would have.
Dang, going for headshots.
I would have drilled him in between the eye. That would have been my goal.
Now,
You don't want to
you
get
guys.
in too much trouble where you like actually hurt somebody, but you want to like show that you're mad.
Maybe that's why I don't have any siblings, because I don't know how I'd be if I had a sibling. So I can't really speak on that part. What are you saying, Cam?
I was just gonna ask, like, now, do you guys prank your siblings or your, Wilmer, in your case, friends and cousins? And if so, like, what are some of the
Talk about.
extents that you've done?
Oh yeah. So, do you want to speak on it, or
Well, my little sister she's basically been raised with technology, which I wasn't so much, she's always been on her iPad. YouTube is her big thing. So it's a lot of like prank videos. That being said, it's died down a lot, I would say.
when she turned
But
13, which was 2 months ago?
yeah, she was constantly, oh, pranked ya, oh, pranked ya. And it was like things where it was like, okay, no, I'm done. That's not funny. No, I pranked ya. Always did it to Wilmer. And I don't know, she would just turn it into like, if she was wrong about something, she'd be like, no, pranked ya. Like, what?
She
Like,
went
that was
up-
just her line.
We were watching TV, and her sister came back with an Oreo, and I was like, why is this one because no one offers me one single Oreo.
Right.
But I went to bite into it, and it smelled minty.
Ew.
And I was just, what, I know they're like mint Oreos, so.
They're green though.
But yeah, exactly, they were green. And this, I saw like the toothpaste crystals in the Oreo, and I was like, "You take a bite." She's like, "Nah, I'm okay." I was like, "You take a bite. I don't want to take a bite until you do." And she filled an Oreo with toothpaste.
Oreos are always her go-to. At one point, my sisters and I, we got to a point we just got her bag. I don't know how she kind of questioned it at first, but we filled one with hot sauce, I think it was.
Oh.
And
Oh yeah.
Oh.
yeah. I mean, why not? If she was gonna keep on giving
man.
us random Oreos,
If you can't dish it, if you can't take it, don't dish it. Yeah, that's what I live by.
So yeah, pranking, that's been the only real thing. And even then, we're all old enough to outsmart it, but
Right.
that's it on that.
My older cousin, when I was like 7. My other cousins locked me in a closet.
Oh, that's just not fun.
For a very
That's
long
not a
time.
prank. That's just not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I started to cry. And my cousin John, so it was my cousin Evan, Justin, Jake, Zach. Like, it was like 4 or 5 of them. They just locked me in the closet. And then Jonathan came into the room, saw what was going on, and then didn't do anything about it. And then just walked out and just left me in there. And they were barking and banging on the door, and that was a very bad experience. I did not like that. To this day, we laugh about it now. We're all cool, and I love them, but I did not like them for a very long time because of that incident.
It's kind of crazy. But speaking of like locking in enclosed spaces, this is not my sibling or anything, but when I was in middle school, it was after school, and I was with like a few friends. They were girls, and that's not really relevant, but I was opening my locker and just like getting myself out to leave, and one of them was like, "Hey, like, I think I can fit in there," and I was like, "I think you can too, but you shouldn't." And she was like, "No, let me go in there." And I was like, okay. And so I put her in the locker, or she got in the locker, and I she's like, close it. And I was like, I close it. She's like, all right, I'll lock it. I was like,
Was this her locker or is this?
This is. Oh, you know what?
Because if it was some random locker, and
No, it was a random locker. That's why it was empty. It was a random locker. It was just when it was unlocked. And she was like, lock it. And I was like, no. And then I tried to get her out. Like, I tried to open the door, but then I turned the lock by accident. So she was locked in the locker.
And
I got in a lot of trouble.
oh my god!
Told you to do it.
This was middle school. Was this
This was middle school. I think she was crying. She was like, she was banging on the door, like, get me out. And I was like, it's locked. I don't know the passcode. Like, I tried. And I got into a lot of trouble, but I didn't get to like as much trouble because I said not to do it. But
real quick before we head out, have you guys ever had detention or been expelled? Because I feel like that's something that you could get, definitely like depending on the school and the kid, detention for if you lock someone in a locker.
it's an accident.
Have you?
No.
Bronwyn, have you?
No, I was so scared of getting detention. No, I never got detention.
You did.
You got detention? I got detention once, but
I got it twice when I was in elementary school.
can you explain? Can you elaborate?
Yeah.
You had detention in elementary school?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I did. I was in the second grade, and I said donkey, but not donkey. This is a PG channel, so fill in the blank. And then I was told on by one of our good friends, Ianu. And,
He told on you?
and he told on me, and I got detention. And
That's
then,
hilarious.
but then detention didn't happen. Sorry about that. Detention didn't happen for a very long time. It was like months later, and it was on my birthday. So yeah,
That stinks.
We
That's
had
awful.
like flipped cards. We had to flip
Yeah.
our card if we did something bad. I don't know.
No,
if
we had that too.
I remember those.
Okay.
We had that too, but I didn't even know he went and snitched on me until I had detention.
That's crazy.
And the second time I did, it was with Thomas. We had it together because he did something, and Thomas and I really used to butt heads when we were younger. And he did something, and
I
then
can see that.
it was in the fourth grade, and I threatened to hit him with my lacrosse stick. And
Dude.
yeah, I know it sounds really bad. It sounds really bad. I'm a changed man now. I don't do this anymore. And this is making me sound like a very bad kid. And then that escalated, and then our parents were called. Like, we didn't get in trouble by our parents because like we were so close, but we got detention together. So that was my second. I only had it twice. But I was sent to the office a lot too, in elementary school. But that's for another time. That's for another time. Anything else anybody has to say, wants to say? No.
Oh, sir.
No.
Keep on leaving them. What do you call them now? Comments,
Requests.
requests on Instagram.
Follow us on social media: Instagram, Twitter. We are on the TikTok. We've been posting clips also on TikTok. So if you guys want to go and give us a follow on all social media platforms, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's the first time saying that because we are on the YouTubes as well. Give a big shout out to Audrey. Thanks for coming and filling in Mr. Forbai's place while he's out there handling business. And
Thanks for having me.
you're welcome. Trying to figure out global warming. I think your sister's
Slanging it.
next. Shout out to Angie and Lauren. You guys we'll figure something out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Still got to figure out a closing for this show. It's a little all over the place every week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys have a great week. Peace.